Monetization method. There are some considerations and some specifics here we're going to break down. First of all, you versus them. What, if anything, will they do for traffic and exposure? Secondly, implicit versus explicit. Are you going to require that they do something before or after you create that work product? You're leveraging their knowledge or not? Vendor versus affiliate. Will the result be something you sell on its own, or will it be something you promote as an affiliate? And lastly, incentive. Are there any scenarios where you can set something up that if this happens, then that type of opportunities? Let's delve into each of these aspects related around you making money and monetizing this work product that you're helping create by leveraging the expertise of someone else. First, you versus them. Mainly, you want to be the predominant force for generating traffic if content is the major hurdle to gaining access to a group of customers. If you believe that there's some or some way you can get exposure or some possibility to very easily and very inexpensively reach an audience, but you don't have anything to put in front of them, content-wise, then content is most important in this situation, and as such, you should focus on getting the content, and you should be the one that really predominantly and primarily generates the traffic. Them, if you believe an already existing audience they have access to is being underutilized, then you should work them either implicitly or explicitly to be the exposure mechanism in terms of potential customers. Because if they're already wasting an audience, and they have the knowledge that audience would love, nobody's getting any favors done. The audience is missing out, they're missing out, and of course, you're missing out by not assisting them, right? Here's some considerations that I think of when I look for partners that potentially have underutilized audiences or audiences that I would like to get access to with their knowledge or part of their knowledge in a bigger piece. The obvious one is email list. In general, I don't like to interview experts that don't have email lists because I want to have a situation, even if I don't require or ask for it up front, I want to create a situation where they can mail the result work product that we create together. The other thing, too, is Facebook, and specifically Facebook groups. Do they have a dedicated, active following within a Facebook group? If so, it might be worth your while to specifically join Facebook groups and then follow up and contact the owner of those groups. Because there's groups that have thousands of people who are rabid in response, and they can easily be reached with an offer that you create with the individual that owns the Facebook group. And that's free exposure. Periscope. And the bigger question here I'm asking is these days is how can we get access to people's phones? Periscope is so powerful because the person who they're following on Periscope, whenever that person is doing a Periscope, they get a notification on their phone. I would love the access of being able to notify people via their phone when something is happening. And if I don't have that following on Periscope, who does? And how can I help them take their knowledge, their expertise, and turn it into a product? Active blog, because then they can post it and we can do things on their blog to get exposure. Now, active means not just visitors, but visitors commenting and pushing buttons on things, right? YouTube, and specifically the YouTube channel. You can look at YouTube and you can see how many people are subscribed to a channel. And if it's a lot of people subscribed to a channel, then when they make a video, it notifies a lot of those subscriptions, a lot of those people that are subscribers. And we also have the ability to do other types of marketing, which we'll delve into in further modules that specifically deal with traffic. But YouTube can be a goldmine if worked correctly, especially because these people are very open to content via video already. LinkedIn groups. These are specifically great in business-to-business types of concepts. So there are LinkedIn groups that you can mail once a week, everybody in that group, an email. So if somebody is the owner of that group and you do work with them, it might be very smart of you to join lots of LinkedIn groups as part of your strategy for creating a hit list of experts that you would like to contact and help them create work product. Meetups. I gave the example earlier of me speaking at a meetup that was then monetized, and we've monetized other meetups in the past. that has the power of in-person. And there's meetups all over the world. So who owns a meetup? And how can you become their best friend? Help them create content that is a product that can be leveraged within the meetup group itself as exposure and means to sell product and podcast. So people that have lots of listeners and subscribers of their podcast, it's not very hard because they're probably already experts anyway to go that extra mile and create a product with marketing around it and then leverage the podcast audience to get that exposure. Now, there's two types of ways that you can rely upon the expert for not just knowledge, but traffic as well. The implicit way is when the product is done, say, hey, the product is done. If you wish to or like to, it'd be great if you let your people know about it. That doesn't mean they will, but that's the hope, because it is easier for them to endorse something that they were part of the creation of. It's one of the easiest ways to get somebody to promote something is make them part of it. It's a very powerful lesson right there. Hopefully it doesn't go over your head or through your ears without really letting it sink in. Make them part of it if you want them to promote it. It's the easiest way to do that. There's also the explicit approach. By participating or contributing to this, you also agree to blank. Get the agreement in advance that exposure is a requirement. So here's an example of this. So with Marisa and the Superhero Summit, this is part of the email sequence that goes out that they let people know about. She says, we ask each presenter to commit to at least 2 solo emails to their list the week before the summit starts. And then they say, email number 1 can be sent anytime between this date. I recommend these 2 dates, right? We send it through an affiliate link. So that way, if something is purchased outside of each presenter, because she has an additional type of offer, then we can make money, right? And then she says, we recommend your second email be between these dates. And then she says, once your session is over, we'll update you with certain data. And then you can consider also an optional third email to mail out to your own replay. And then she says this, we also welcome any additional promotion. We found that partners who do best usually send 3 or more emails. So you cannot participate in her Superhero Summit unless you mail for it. And I like that because she puts it right on the table. And there are some people that she doesn't get because of that requirement. And in normal circumstances, every other person who requires me to mail to be part of the summit or part of an event or whatever, I don't do it. Because usually I send more traffic than I receive. And I don't know the quality of where I'm sending my subscribers to, which is very important to me. But with Marisa, because she's a pro and I've observed and I've watched her, she's the exception. So you can be the exception, or you can work with a lot of people who don't care. Because the reality is, if enough people promote and you send 1/5 of the traffic, but there's other people that send the other 4/5, you get exposure to 4/5 of the traffic for sending out 1/5 of the traffic. That's some good math. So it's okay for you to ask. You don't get it if you don't ask for it. Let's put it that way. And by making it a requirement, that really can save everybody a lot of time. Vendor versus affiliate. If you're the vendor, you take the payments and then you give them a cut. Or you take a percentage from when you take the payments and you send the rest out to them. Affiliate is you promote through a tracking link and it goes through their shopping cart or whatever they set up. They collect the money, then they pay you. Many, many, many times I'm much more likely to be the vendor and then be the affiliate. In this particular case with Marisa in the Online Superhero Summit, she's the affiliate. So she promotes us, we take the money, then we pay her. So you can do it both ways. But in a lot of instances, I will get the person to create the product, then I'll have them promote the product, and then I will pay them. And I know it sounds silly because it's their product and their audience, right? It might sound silly, but it works. There's a lot of people that will open to that because, again, the principle is 100% of nothing is nothing. And 1% of $1 million is more than nothing. You can also consider, after you do this for a while, to create incentives once you get good at this. So incentives can be benchmarks, such as somebody gets something extra or in addition if a certain target is hit. So a target could be a revenue target, a certain amount of dollars, or it even could be an opt-in number of opt-ins, or number of 5-star reviews, or number of whatevers, right? Hard caps. certain benefits and commissions are reached up until a certain point or increased after a certain point. So maybe it's 10% up until a certain dollar figure, and then it becomes 20% after that dollar figure, or retroactively where everything becomes 20% if a certain number of units are moved. So that way you can push people to even do more than what they would do under normal circumstances. Deal flow is also an incentive, meaning that if on a smaller scale something works out really well, then it could potentially work out on a larger scale. So like in the case with Marisa, I have been her number one superhero in terms of sales and revenue I've generated for her very consistently. And so I get a lot of other opportunities to promote to the audience that she builds during the Superhero Summit as a result of that. And that's because it worked well on a small level, so then we trade up to a bigger level and a bigger level and a bigger level even still.